You're listening to Create Wealth Through Franchising, and I'm your host, Kim Daly. In my 20 years as a franchise consultant, I've helped hundreds of people achieve their dreams of building and scaling franchise businesses to create wealth. The interview you're about to hear can also be found on my YouTube channel, where I post new franchising content multiple times per week. Please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and to my YouTube channel at kimdaly.tv. Now, enjoy the show. Welcome back to Kim Daly TV. Our special guest with me today, his name is Joe Bruccoliere. Joe, welcome to the studio of Kim Daly TV.
Hi, Kim. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have a former candidate, now top performer in his franchise, here to share his inspiring story. You followers of Kim Daly TV, you know that here we share the good news in franchising. If you want to hear all the misery, you go somewhere else. But here on Kim Daly TV, I find the people who have mastered what they're doing, who are at the top of their game, and Joe is in that category. So Joe is part of a company called Meineke. And the conversation that Joe and I are going to share with you today is, this is what I said to Joe, and I said, let's capture your story. So here you are in the automotive industry, which is a very competitive industry. Mm-hmm. And Joe happens to live in Dallas, Texas, which is a very competitive market, right? Saturated to the nines with everything.
It is.
So competitive industry, competitive market, and he's somehow risen to the top and has become a top performer. And that's the story we're going to share with you. But before we do that, let's back up. And Joe, I want you to share with my followers how you met me, what you were looking for, and then we'll get to Meineke.
Sure. Thank you. And thanks again for having me. So it goes back a couple years, Kim. I'm trying to remember exactly what year that was. Might have been 2018, 2019. I was a little bit of track of the time, but I was in telecommunications I had a long career in telecommunications, 15 years. So I'm not even from the automotive industry, but I was in telecommunications, found an opportunity to, just exit the business. I was ready to make a change. I didn't know what I was looking for, honestly. And in that transition, there was a opportunity to learn about franchising. And it kind of piqued my interest because owning a business was always something in the back of my mind, but it never really came to the top until I was at that crossroad and thought, you know what? I'm not in my job anymore. I'm ending that career. What do I want to do next? And so I thought, talked to my wife and I said, I'm going to sit in on the seminar and just see what it's all about, see what franchising is and how to even go about it.
I love the nuggets you just dropped. Let's back up. Replay the tape, people. So first he says, I was in IT, not even automotive. So let's not bypass that too quickly. Yeah. And the second thing is, he said to his wife before he came to my event, what do you think about starting a franchise? Because in my industry, I always joke with people, Joe, and I probably said this to you, you can do this to your spouse or with your spouse, right? So if you want to remain happily married, with your spouse is probably a better word.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to am I crazy for thinking this? And she was like, no, yeah, let's find out what it's about. So yes, it's exactly how it went about. I was just, checking in with her if she thought, hey, do you mind? Let me because at that point I had no idea how it worked. Honestly, it was like, hey, I'm going to sit on the seminar, listen to the franchise consultant speak and just see what happens.
Just be open. And on that note, listeners, that webinar that Joe attended is now a recorded webinar for you on my website at thedalycoach.com. So it's about a 30-minute webinar. It's a free download right now. So if you are interested to learn kind of a fundamental grassroots, on the ground, what is franchising and how could it really benefit me? Please go to my website and download the webinar right now. Okay, so Joe, you come to my seminar. You liked what you heard. We engage in the consultation and we begin. So I'm sure you looked at multiple businesses. Do you remember the specific reasons why Meineke kind of rose to the top for you?
I do, yeah. So there was multiple opportunities presented that you came to me with, and obviously, with my wife, we just sat down and we're going through them because I wanted her input. This was going to be a team effort. While she was going to keep her job, entering into a business as a couple is something that we discussed, and whatever we chose was going to be a mutual decision, even though I was going to be taking the lead on it. And so, yeah, Meineke was up there, but, we were really balancing between two opportunities. And I guess I could say what the other one was. It was a fitness concept. I won't specify which one necessarily, but we thought we had an interest in that. We're athletic. We thought maybe, we can really get into that one. Let's check it out. And really, that's where we started. It was like, let's go after this. And Meineke was always number two. I'll be honest. It was, do we want to go with this fitness one? Let's pursue it and see where it goes.
Sexy fitness or dirty automotive?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I wonder why fitness was probably a little bit more, at the top.
Yeah. I was definitely open-minded about it. I wasn't discounting Meineke. I just knew what it was. And I knew, and we could talk about, and I guess when the ultimate decision came down, the factors that I chose it were always there. But like you said, the sexy fitness, that seemed interesting and one we could both really dive into, if we put it that way. So yeah, it was there, and Meineke was. They were neck and neck. I wouldn't say there was really a number two, but they were definitely neck and neck. But we were pursuing the fitness one first.
Hey, Daly Coach fans! If this franchise sounds like a fit for you, I would love to be your Daly Coach. Email me right now for a totally free consultation at inquire@kimdaly.tv. So with Meineke, Joe, what were the characteristics? Like, did the long-standing history of the Meineke brand? Because I think a lot of people today may hear Meineke, we think of mufflers too, right? Because they've grown through the times, as automotive improved, they had to adapt and grow or die. And so that long-standing history, was that part of the solidarity behind you? Is that part of what ultimately led you down the path to Meineke?
It is, yeah, and that's a great way to put it as well, because when you talk about the fitness concept, it was new. It was going to be a real, how do you put it? It's a challenge because it's a new entrant to the market, and you had all that newness of it. Whereas Meineke, been around, I've seen them, I'm familiar with them, the long history, the evolution they went through from mufflers only to where they are now full service. All that stuff struck a chord that, hey, there's a lot of roots there, and they know what they're doing, and the confidence you can put behind something like that. So that's really, ultimately, that's where it ended up. We were just, let's do Meineke. In the end, it was like, let's go with the one that's more rock solid in terms of history, dependability, and then the backing of a process.
I love that.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons to invest in a franchise. So you enter this saturated Dallas market, right? Saturated with everything, but especially automotive shops, right? But you're with a brand leader. So how has their support, how has it helped you? How did it help you find and secure the right location, get up and operating, and get to learning about automotive, to where then we're going to talk about how because it's always the owner that makes the difference between success and failure, right? The brand can be awesome, but it's the owner who's driving this. So the second part we'll get to is how you took it from, a ground up to a top performing store. But let's just talk a little bit about how Meineke met you in your growth and getting into this new industry and site selection and getting your store. Are you satisfied with what they've done?
Yeah, they do have a really good support network. There are different groups that we begin working with, that they introduce you, starting with real estate. Obviously, finding the location is number one, and they have a team that helps that. There's different avenues they can pursue. Sometimes it's when you're getting a location, there are options. There's independent shops that are looking to get out that Meineke wants to move into, or there's options to build a new location. In some markets, that works out where you can build brand new. In my case, I was looking for an existing location. Owning property was interesting, but you didn't have to do that. It's a big investment to do that. So I did found through the help of Meineke, we found a prime location. I was really interested. It was near my home. Didn't have to drive far, which is convenient, which is nice. Doesn't always work out that way, but you can, they give you options. You're going to tour different sites. You're going to pick a site. And it came across one that was really interesting, and found out too, it was a good market. And we talked about competition. I happened to be next door to a competitor. We got one building between us, and it's one of their top performing stores. And I didn't turn away from that. And I'm glad I didn't. But that was, to me, I felt like, hey, if they're busy, I can be busy.
Now, did you take over a struggling automotive shop, or was it a thriving shop?
It was an independent shop. It wasn't part of any kind of network. They had been there many years, and the owner was just time for him to end. I think he was just looking to get out. So he ended his lease, and that really opened the door for me to have an opportunity to move in.
Really good. And Joe, I just want to ask the question, when did you begin the selection or start looking for that location, before or after you signed your franchise agreement?
Well, I did some searching on my own to begin with, but it was after we signed that really got down to, how does this work? That's when they come in.
Wait.
Oh.
After he signed, everybody, did you hear?
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith that you're going to be able to find the right location. Sorry, Joe. I have a whole other agenda while you're talking to teach these listeners, right? Who there's so much control by candidates. I want to find the location before I sign the franchise agreement. It's not how it works, because you don't get the full force of the franchise behind you and all that they're going to help you with until you've paid them money. Yes. And now you're part of the team, and now they're going to help you. So anyway.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, we were just eager. I mean, that's just how it was. And actually, I wouldn't say we looked for a Meineke location. We would just drive around and be like, hey, that'd be a good location. Or that, it was no more than that. So when I say looking, we were just kind of, and that's before we knew anything. It wasn't until we signed and we got to talk to the franchise real estate team that we began to understand what a location is. What are they looking for? What's going to make you successful? And all those factors. Then you get a different set of lenses to look through. And then we're like, okay. Then we start looking. But that was after we signed. So yeah, they educated us on locations.
Because when you're a franchisee, you're not solving the problems of the business on your own. You're buying the mentorship. So first you pay, then you receive. So, okay, I love this. So you get to walk into something. Did you have to overcome any, did you feel there were any biases against that location? Did you get mechanics? Did you get equipment? Tell the audience a little bit about what you walked into, and then we're very quickly going to talk about how you took it to the next level.
Well, I think timing for that one was good, because the original business owner had just left, and I had, between me and the landlord, we got to a position where I could talk to them and find out, before he demoed any of the equipment, I was like, hey, let me review what you have here. Maybe there's equipment I can use, and you don't have to destroy, you don't have to get rid of it, you don't have to clean it out. So in that regard, I did go through that conversation with the previous business owner, so that was kind of nice to have that opportunity. Second part of your question, I think
So did you actually buy his business, or you just took over the lease with the equipment in it?
I did not buy his business. Yeah, that wasn't the situation. I wasn't going to buy the business, so I didn't have to do that. We did make an arrangement for him to leave some of the equipment.
Okay. So, very different. That's a different scenario. So then customers drove by one day and it was, mom and pop automotive. And the next day it's Meineke. So that's kind of interesting to the consumers driving by.
It is. And we had a few customers. Well, it's funny. I could tell you two different stories of how the customers reacted to it. They would see it under construction, because one of the first things I had to do, and of course you want to do this, is to convert it to Meineke. It was this other entity. We wanted to give it the look, give it the feel of a new business that's coming in. And so for a month or whatever the time was, 2 months, painted it, did the design, put the signs up. So customers driving by saw something was happening, and they would come in it's funny too, because I had a customer come in while we were doing the work, and I don't know if she thought she could just get some repairs done, but she stayed committed to the location. I'll tell you, she came back multiple times before we were ready to open, and then when we were open, she was one of our first customers coming through the door. So she was like, she's coming there.
She was excited it was a Meineke.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. So there was, being there too as the remodel was happening, we would get people coming in asking questions. So I was there, talking with them and, hey, it's coming soon, we're going to be open soon, and encouraging them to come, to the opening. So,
what's so fun about that? You just said that one building away from you was another automotive shop. And here you are building a new automotive shop and people are coming in before you're even open. So again, to the listeners, we don't know why people do what they do, but the idea is that when you're exploring a franchise, if you limit your thinking based on your belief that in a competitive market, it's saturated, there's no more opportunity, or why are people going to come to my shop when there's another shop right over there, you will always end up saying no to the dream. But if you just dare to follow the process and get in and work with good, solid franchisors and have faith, things start to align and work out. So, as a new franchise owner, you're not even open, Joe. It had to feel pretty good that there's signs of life in the community, that people are going to want what you are about to, the business you're about to open.
Yeah, no, that gave me hope, and you still don't know. We turn the lights on, we're ready to open. You don't know.
Right. All right. So let's get to what you do know. So you're the reason that, people, again, exploring franchising have this belief that it's the franchisor's job to make them successful. But what's funny is when they're successful, they don't give the credit to the franchisor. They take it all. Only when they're not successful, then they're right. They're like, oh, my franchisor didn't do this, and this for me. So it's absolutely untrue. Owners make locations successful. Owners make brands successful. Franchisors don't. So you are the reason your business has become a top performing store. Now, I know you're networked with the other locations and the other owners in Dallas, some of whom I've placed, and we've talked about that. So let's talk about what's the difference. What are you doing in your business? What do you believe has led to the success that you've enjoyed?
I thought about this, and I think it has to be, if I just sum it up in even one word, it's passion. It's passion to own my own business and to run it and to operate it. And I really believe in the core, that's what it is. Because whenever we talked and finding the business, I was excited about it. I wanted to. I knew in my heart, owning my own business was something I wanted to do. I didn't know what it was at the time, but now that we've chosen one, I'm passionate about it and want it to be successful. And I think that really comes across. And a lot of my customers come in. I'm always, we're always talking, friendly to them. They're friendly, and that shows up in our reviews too. They really like the place because they feel like it's, family oriented. And I've had that left in the review, which is really nice. And they send all their family there. So I think just being passionate about it is going to come through. And talking about the franchise or the corporate will say, no, they're not there. They're going to give you the tools. They're going to help you if you call them. But ultimately, it's the franchisee who's operating it day to day. And, when you've got that passion, trust me, it comes through. And that's where the success begins. It really does.
Hey, Daly Coach fans, if you're inspired by this conversation, I invite you to email me right now to explore this franchise opportunity. My email is inquire@kimdaly.tv. Was it passion for an automotive shop?
No, no, it wasn't. I had no idea. I know how to change oil, but other than that, I had no idea about the automotive industry. And I guess
so. Define your word passion, please.
Yeah. So define it.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? What does that mean for you? Passion, when you're like, that's what made me successful. Passion for owning a business. Yeah. Owning the business, operating. And honestly, with the automotive, it's helping the customer with their need for their car.
Honestly,
Yeah.
when you get into the business, and whatever it is, in this case for me, it's helping customers get back on the road. And that's the way I look at it. Is they're coming to us with a problem, and no one likes to work on their car, and so when they need help, you want to be that person. Like, we're going to help you and gain the trust. And it is finding the right people. I mean, it's not me alone. It's finding the technicians that also feel the same way, enjoy their jobs and who want to help and do a good job, right? It's all those people. It's people up front as well who can convey the same message I am to customers, that we're here to help you and do a good job and stand behind work. Obviously, that's always a key thing. You want to support them in any way if they have an issue. But yeah, I mean, it's just being passionate about that and helping the customer. Those two things, passion for running the business and passion for helping people. And automotive, yeah, I mean, that's a learned passion.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is exactly. It's that simple, and yet it's endlessly complicated. It's so beautiful just how, easy it rolls off your tongue, that it's passion. I know that. And it's passion, it's your belief in what you want to build for your life. And it's your heart to give and to serve other people. And I would say that, you're like, it's not just me, it's my team, but it is you, Joe, because you attract people that of high integrity because you are a person of high integrity, right? So you're going to find people that are passionate about their job because they're going to be attracted to you because you're passionate about what you're doing in your job as the leader and their boss and as a business owner. So I love, love, love this story. From IT to automotive, competitive market, competitive industry, one would easily argue saturated.
Yeah.
And you've risen as a top performer in your market.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to share with these listeners, Joe?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could talk about it. Yeah, it's it's like you said, competitive. And what's funny is it's word of mouth too that's continuing to build. Our Google scores are really high. The competition, I think they've just gotten complacent. Being the top location for their company. Well, I'm not going to name anybody.
Sure.
But we would get customers who literally came from them and walked over to us and said, "Can you get me in here?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah, what's going on?" And they said, when I walked in there, I just didn't like the way I was being treated over there. I mean, quite literally. And I'm thinking, you're a customer. You walk through the door of my business. Why would I treat you negatively? And that's how they felt at the other location. So we're winning them over just because they're wanted. At our location, we want to take care of them and serve them. And they're not getting that other location. So yeah, competitive market, they're complacent. Maybe they've been successful for too long. I don't know. But they're losing customers that way.
I think this man could go on and become a business coach now. Joe, I really appreciate you being our special guest here today at Kim Daly TV.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. For all those listeners, if this story has inspired you and you are ready to begin your own journey to figure out what your brand is, whether it's fitness or automotive or something unknown, please follow the email on the screen right now or reach directly out to me at inquire@kimdaly.tv. That's inquire@kimdaly.tv, because I can't wait to meet you. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next episode. If you found this inspiring, please contact me at inquire@kimdaly.tv. My consulting services are totally free to you. Again, that email is inquire@kimdaly.tv. I can't wait to hear from you.